Ready? That's all right. Ready? Is it recording? Bismillah ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Let's continue inshallah ta'ala with our Tafseer class number 3. So we've had a look at the usul of Tafseer, how we approach the Quran, and then we also had a look at the beginning of Surah Al Fatihah, just looking at the virtues and the different names that are associated with this surah. Now let's move on inshallah to the next part. Let's actually go into the surah itself. Before we begin the recitation of Al Fatihah, we have to look at the Isti'adhah. Okay, so if you want to put down the topic of Al Isti'adhah, okay, the Isti'adhah. Okay, Al Isti'adhah is the أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Okay, this is what we read prior to the Fatihah, and this comes from the instructions from Surah Al-Nahl, verse number 98, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he says, فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. That if you approach the Quran, then begin فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ. That start with the Isti'adhah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Okay. It's important to know also that this verse or this word in the sentence أعوذ بالله من الشيطان is not a verse of the Quran. It is not a verse of the Quran, but it is something that the Prophet ﷺ he would teach and he would instruct others to recite. So it's important that it is not a verse of the Quran, but yet it is from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to recite that before reciting verses of the Quran. The next question that comes with regards to the Isti'adhah, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, is it obligatory to read before we read any parts of the Quran, or is it something which is recommended? The vast majority of the scholars, if not all the scholars, they said that it is something which is mustahab, something which is recommended. So before you approach the Quran, you begin with أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Okay. Only one of the schools, and that's the school of Ibn Hazm. We'll talk about his school sometime later. But he went with the literal meaning of the ayah. فَإِذَا قَرَأْتُ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ, meaning it's an obligation. Okay, so he was by himself in the fact that it's obligatory. Every time you read Quran, you have to say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان. But the vast majority of the scholars said it is something which is recommended. Okay. Also, as we're approaching into the study of the Quran, I just want to mention here that the study of the Quran is a long study and it requires a lot of time. One story that I came across, the story of Abdullah ibn Umar and Umar as well. It is found in the Muwatta that Abdullah ibn Umar he said that it took him 8 years to memorize Surah Al-Baqarah. So nowadays we can find somebody, maybe in a couple of months he will memorize the whole of Surah Al-Baqarah. But what does that really mean when we say that he memorized it? And there's some narrations that say Umar ibn al-Khattab, he memorized Surah Al-Baqarah in 12 years. Okay, it took him 12 years. Why? Because their understanding of hifz is different to what we understand as hifz. What we understand of hifz is memorizing the words of the Quran, which is a very praiseworthy act, a very noble act, and we should all try to memorize the wording of the Quran. But what here, the lesson we're drawing from Umar and Ibn Umar is the fact that not just the fact that they memorized, so it's worth writing down, not just the fact that they memorized the wording, they also perfected its recitation, which is the tajweed, and they also understood the meaning of every single word. And the final thing, the fourth thing, is that they implemented everything that they learned. Okay? So they implemented that, and once he was in a position, Ibn Umar and Umar, once they were in a position, said, yes, we are implementing everything that we find here. And then said, now we have memorized this one. Okay? Whereas we find now, today, quite contrary to that, we memorize lots of Quran, but our actions are very contradictory to what we have memorized. And there is a ayah in Surah Al-Jumu'ah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He talks about the Bani Israel, that they carry lots of books, they've been given the Torah, and then after they were given the Injil, but yet they don't act upon any of what they have taken. And Allah says, مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ حُمِّلُوا التَّوْرَاةَ, those people who carry the Torah on their backs, ثُمَّ لَمْ يَحْمِلُوهَا, and they do not act according to it, كَمَثَلِ الْحِمَارِ يَحْمِلُ أَسْفَارًا, that the example of that is like a donkey, who you put a lot of bricks and books on top of this donkey, and he's always carrying them, but he never does any action according to what he's carrying. So this is one of the understandings when we look at Umar, and Ibn Umar, the best of people. It took them 12 years, okay, or 8 years in some narrations to learn Al-Baqarah. Okay, so this is how we should approach the Quran, that we need to learn the meanings, learn its recitation, and also implement that which we are taking. Furthermore, the Isti'adhah, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, it is not just said in the beginning of recitation of the Quran, but we find lots of dua where the Prophet ﷺ would use the Isti'adhah. One of the most famous du'as we find where the Prophet ﷺ used the Isti'adhah is Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-huzn. Oh Allah, I seek your refuge in al-ham, which is worry, and huzn, which is sadness. And then he said, وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنَ الْعَجْزِ وَالْكَسَلِ, and I seek your protection. And ajz is when you're not able to do something. Okay, al-ajz wal-kasal, from laziness. This is the Prophet ﷺ making this dua, by the way. Okay, so what about us? He's saying, Allah protect us from being al-ajz, not being able to do things, and also al-kasal, laziness. وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنَ الْجُبْنِ وَالْبُخْلِ, and I seek your protection in al-jubn. What is al-jubn?
Being coward?
Yeah, coward. Jubn has two meanings in Arabic language. One is cheese, and the other one is being a coward. So he's not talking about cheese. So the Prophet ﷺ is, oh Allah, we seek your protection from being cowards. And he also said, al-bukhl. What is al-bukhl? Being stingy. So he said, may Allah protect us from being stingy, not spending our money. Okay. And he also, وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ غَلَبَةِ الدين, and also protect us from being in debt. Okay, protect us from being in debt. So the Isti'adhah is used in a number of different places. The most common is that is before the recitation of the Quran, and also we find that inside of these du'as. Now let's look at the ma'ani, the meaning of al-Isti'adhah, very quickly. Ibn Qayyim, he gives a definition of the Isti'adhah, and he says, al-hurub min shay takhafuhu ila an ya'simuka minhu, that it is running away from something that you're afraid of to something that's going to protect you. That's the meaning of Isti'adhah, that you are afraid of something, so you run away, but you're in the direction of someone or something that's going to protect you. This is what is one of the meanings. And then also Mullah Ali Qari, a famous scholar in Hind, he also gave a good example, and he said the meaning of Isti'adhah is يعني اللهم احفظني من وسوسته, oh Allah, protect me from the whispering of Shaytan. And he says وإغوائه, and his seductions, وخطواته, and his temptations, وخطراته, and the things that he puts into our minds. So the Isti'adhah is to remove all of these things from our minds so that we are closer to Allah. Ibn Qayyim, he further talks about the Isti'adhah, and he said that if the Isti'adhah is understood, this is really the perfection of a person's Tawheed. Because when you're seeking refuge from the position that you're in, a position of weakness, to something which is more powerful, you're recognizing by that direction, by turning to Allah, your Tawheed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He is the only one that can protect. So the Isti'adhah in and of itself, Ibn Qayyim said, if it's understood, it's the perfection of someone's Tawheed. That they don't turn when they're in difficulty to a Pir Sahib or to a grave or to somebody else. No, they turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He is the only one who has the authority or the power to take you out of that difficult situation. Okay. The word al-A'udh in the Isti'adhah, A'udhu Billah. Arabic meaning of the word al-A'udh is al-Iltija, liquwa, which al-Iltija means to seek refuge. Okay, so literally like a refugee, when he's running from one country where he's oppressed or he fears for his life, he's going to another country where he feels he's going to be safe and protected. That's taking refuge. So this is the literal meaning of the word al-A'udh, seeking refuge, al-Iltija. So seeking refuge in something which is stronger. So that is the meaning of al-A'udh. Secondly, the word Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah. Now we know Allah has told us, وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءِ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا. Allah says in the Quran, to Allah belongs the beautiful names, so call upon Him when you make dua. Allah has given us in the Quran and Sunnah 99 names, but obviously He has endless names, but these are some of the names that He has given us. From amongst these names, the best and the most comprehensive and the most powerful name out of all of these is Allah. Because Allah includes all of the other names. So Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Quddus, Al-Malik, all of these are beautiful names, but they have a specific meaning. But the word Allah, it includes all of these meanings. So make a note that the word Allah itself is the most supreme name of Allah, and it encompasses all of the 99 that are mentioned. So that's why we say أعوذ بالله, that we seek refuge in Allah. You can say أعوذ بالرحمن, you can say أعوذ بالرحيم, you can say أعوذ بالقدوس. But here you're limiting, okay, you're seeking refuge to one attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only. But when you say أعوذ بالله, you're seeking refuge in all of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the word Allah is the most powerful name. And we mentioned this before when we look at the ayah وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا, that the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah says that He has the best of names, the most beautiful of names. What is the purpose of these names? Allah explains it in the ayah. It says فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا, therefore use the names in your du'as. Okay, we mentioned this many times before, that the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, unfortunately nowadays, they've just become a point of debate and argumentation. So each sect will have their interpretation of Allah's names and they will debate it forever and cause divisions and problems. No, that's not the reason why Allah's names came down. The names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came to us so we understand who Allah is and we use them in our du'as. And as we mentioned that, if, for example, a person is in need of money or he wants children or he needs something from Allah, then he will use Allah's names, Ar-Razzaq. Allah give me from the rizq. If somebody is in need of Allah's mercy, he's going through a difficult time, he will use Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. If somebody just committed a sin and he wants to make tawbah, he will use Allah's name, Al-Ghaffar. This is the reason why we learn His names and we use them in the appropriate time and the circumstance. So this is what we learn. But the most powerful of all of those names is the name Allah. Okay, this is the most powerful of names. Moving forward, then we have أعوذ بالله من الشيطان. Now, the word shaytan, what does that mean? Okay, so if you want to make a note of the word shaytan, it comes from shatana. Okay, shaytan, it comes from the word shatana, which literally means ابتعد عن طريق الحق. So shatana means to go off the right path. Okay, and shaytan is the name of the person or the individual who went off the right path. Okay, that's why he's known as shaytan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala left for us a straight path, Sirat al-Mustaqim. Okay, He's given us the guidelines. Anyone or anything that goes off that path, shatana ani tariq, he's come off the path. He's come off the right way. So that includes كل مخلوق خرج عن المنهج الإلهي فهو شيطان. All of creation, any of creation that has gone off the straight path and is calling to that deviancy or to that misguidance is a form of shaitan. That's why the shaitan is not just from amongst the jinn, but we know we have shayateen al-ins and shayateen al-jinn. So this is important to understand. Some humans are also shayateen, meaning they're calling people to the hellfire. They're openly calling to devil worship, or they're openly calling to shirk, they're openly calling to the disrespect of the Prophet ﷺ. Anything that is calling to other than Tawheed of Allah is off the right path, and you can have shayateen al-ins and shayateen al-jinn. So that's the meaning of shaitan. So the word shaitan comes from shatana, and shatana means anyone who's gone far off the right track. So it's shaitan. The next word is Ar-Rajim. So shaitan Ar-Rajim, Ar-Rajim literally means al-ba'id, it means the far away. So it's not just the shaitan meaning that he's gone far off the track, but it means Ar-Rajim, he's gone extremely far off the track. Meaning shaitan, he is the one who is the most furthest off the right path. Okay. Now, just some side notes. من علامات الإيمان المؤمن. So the Isti'adhah is used in a number of different scenarios. So we've said in the beginning of the recitation of the Quran. We said also in certain du'as. And I want to give you just a list of a few du'as or a few places where the Isti'adhah, we should try to repeat them as much as we can. So number one, okay, is the tilawat al-Quran. So we said that before in the recitation of the Quran. Yeah, فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. Number two is في الصلاة قبل الفاتحة. So when you're praying, before you read the Fatihah, you read an Isti'adhah. You read أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. The question whether you read it out loud or whether you read it silently will come towards the end. All the ahkam, the rules, we'll talk about that towards the end of the dars. Okay? Because that's the more difficult part, so we'll get there in the end. Furthermore, the third is in the ghadab, when you're angry. The Prophet said when you get angry, say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, so the shaitan goes away. Also, the fourth one, in the dukhul al-khala, when you enter the toilet. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubthi wal-khaba'ith. So another time, okay. Also in the nabah al-kilab, when you hear the donkey or the dog, when they bark or bray, that you say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم as well. Okay. Also in the times of when somebody is worried, qalaq, or he's in thought, okay. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من غضبه وعقابه. So you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect you from those things. And also the last one, the second last one is ruqya. Okay, if you want to, the Prophet ﷺ and Sahaba would use the isti'adhah to protect people from black magic or sihr or the evil eye or things like that. Okay, so saying أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم will protect you from the evil eye or magic or things like that. And the last one, and there's loads, but I'm just summarizing. The last one in the dukhul al-masjid, when you enter the masjid, أعوذ بالله العظيم بوجهه الكريم وسلطانه القديم من الشيطان الرجيم. So one of the du'as when you enter the masjid, you say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Okay? And subhanallah, just on a side note, how important it is that we read such du'as, because unfortunately nowadays we find people when they enter into the masjid, some of the most atrocious behavior comes out inside of the masajid. Okay, some of the masajid, fighting taking place in the front row, people are swearing, and I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. So there can be issues.
Can you just repeat the dua?
Okay, the dua for the masjid is أعوذ بالله العظيم بوجهه الكريم وسلطانه القديم من الشيطان الرجيم. Okay. So the place, the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most sacred place. لا ترفعوا صوتكم فوق صوت النبي. Do not raise your voices amongst the voice of Allah, the voice of the Prophet ﷺ. So the adab of the masjid is that a person should remain silent, okay, or in the best of ways. But unfortunately now, we're seeing what's taking place in certain masajid where people are fighting and swearing and all sorts. Okay, let us continue. Let's move on. So that's the isti'adhah. The next thing after the isti'adhah is the basmala. Okay, so we are used to saying Bismillah. So we talked about that. We're used to saying the Bismillah. Okay, Bismillah. But the actual word to describe the Bismillah is the basmala. Okay, the basmala means Bismillah Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Okay, so the basmala. Okay, the Basmala is the Bismillah Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, and all the surahs in the Quran, so all 113 of them, they begin with Bismillah Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, except for one surah. Which one is that? Good, yeah, Al-Bara or Tawbah. That surah doesn't have Bismillah Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim in it, so when you read that one, you just go straight into the surah. Okay, so Surah Tawbah, laysa fiha Bismillah. Furthermore, we have a question about whether the word Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim sentence, Bismillah Ar-Rahman, is it an ayah from the Quran? We will come to that towards the end. Is it an ayah from the Quran? Is it part of Fatihah? Okay. The first thing that we established clear cut, it is a part of the Quran because it is mentioned in Surah An-Naml, verse number 30. Okay. Right? إِنَّهُ مِن سُلَيْمَانَ وَإِنَّهُ بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ. So it's clearly an ayah inside Surah An-Naml. But whenever we open the Quran, at the beginning of every surah we find Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Now, does every surah begin with that? Is that an ayah from the Quran? Is that just something we read when we are beginning a surah? We'll come to those questions at the end, but something to think about. Okay, that this Basmala is it a part of the Quran? Furthermore, just a few quick reminders. When do we use the Basmala? Of course, we use the Basmala whenever we can. But there are certain places which we definitely should consider or make use of the Basmala. The first of those is in the wudu. When we begin the wudu, we say the Bismillah. It's one of the ways, the sunnahs of the wudu is to say Bismillah. Furthermore, in the dhabh or Isti'adhah, when you are slaughtering an animal, okay, you can't just slaughter the animal, you have to say Bismillah Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim or Bismillah Allahu Akbar. Okay, so the slaughtering. Also Also, when in the ityan al-rajul imra'atihi, so also when a husband is with his wife, he begins by saying Bismillah, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Okay. And in the morning and in the evenings, when you wake up, when you go to sleep, making use of the Bismillah, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Okay. Okay. Now, something interesting here. When we look at the word Bismillah, what the sentence I should say? Bismillah. Okay. Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Now, if you look in your books, or those of you who got translations, what do you find is the translation of this ayah, or this sentence? MashaAllah. In the name of Allah, the most gracious or the most merciful. Question. This is for sake of learning. What does that even mean? Is that even a sentence?
Yeah.
Don't be shy. I know it's Quran, but we're here to challenge the mind. We'll come to a conclusion at the end.
It's not a sentence, it's a statement.
Yeah, it's just a statement. It's very similar to saying in the house. Yeah, obviously this is from Allah, that sentence was from me. But in the house, what does that mean? So here, this is where we have something for the Arabic students. This is known as taqdir or al-hadf. Something is missing. Yeah, and in English they call it ellipsis. In those who are students of literature, something is missing. But what is missing? That's the question. So in the name of the most merciful, the most compassionate, then we just stop. What does it mean? Remember we spoke about this before, that sometimes in the Arabic language there's a word missing. Yeah, and that word could have a number of meanings. Do we take one of those meanings? Do we take several of those meanings? You remember that discussion where we had that? Yeah. So here, Bismillah Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, there is something missing. So those of the Arabic students will know that the ba is harf al-jar and the ism is the ism al-jar, and Allah here, lafzul jalala, is mudaf ilayh. So if you have a shibi jumla or sentence like that, it has to be attached to something. The shibi jumla, for those Arabic students, just bear with me, the shibi jumla has to be muta'alliq bi shay, with a noun or a verb. There has to be something preceding it. So here, this verse has been left like this on purpose because there is a hadf, there is something missing. And the thing that's missing, the scholars, is a long discussion, there's up to 20 different meanings, but the most conclusive of those is that there is a verb missing. There is a verb that's missing, okay? And that verb that's missing is not one verb, and this is the beauty of the hadf, okay? Is that verb that is missing is anything that you want to put in it. So, in the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate, what? So for example, if I say, Aqra'u, okay? So Aqra'u, so I read, okay? So in the name of the most merciful and compassionate, I read the Quran, for example. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate, I will get married, or I will eat. Whatever it is, so the verb is something which can change. And this is the beauty of it. Because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He could do that, just write one verb, then that would be the one meaning of Bismillah. But because He's left the verb out, there's hadf, then depending on the action you're doing, you're saying, in the name of Allah, I will go to work. In the name of Allah, I'm going to feed my children. In the name of Allah, I'm going to begin the day. In the name of Allah, I'm going to sleep. So the verb is missing. And why is the verb missing? Because your actions are numerous. Okay, so this is something which is unique in the Arabic language. Okay, so take a note of that. The actual, subhanAllah, this is how important the Arabic language is, that even just this letter ba, it's not a verb and it's not even a noun, it's just a harf, it's just a particle. This ba, while I was reading the surah, I found that it had over 20 different meanings. Just that. It's not even a noun and it's not even a verb. It's just a particle. 20 different meanings. So when people say the Arabic language is not important, I say, how do you know what ba means? Let alone anything in the Quran. Just start with ba. The first word, what does it mean? And you're left astounded. You don't even know. 20 different meanings. So the ba can be 20 meanings. From amongst those meanings, the most conclusive is two. They said that it's the ba of al-Isti'adhah. Al-Isti'adhah means to seek help. Okay, so Nasta'in billah, I seek help in Allah. So the ba, they say, is the ba of isti'ana, or they say the ba of al-musahaba. Musahaba means that something accompanies something. They really mean the same thing. When you say isti'ana, the two meanings, so I'm going to cross that 20 and just give you two of those meanings. This ba carries two of those meanings. So it is al-isti'ana, which means seeking Allah's help. Okay, seeking Allah's help. Okay? And the second one, say al-musahaba, is to be accompanied by, or something along those lines. To be accompanied with. Okay? They really do mean the same thing. So when you say Bismillah Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, what you're saying is, I seek Allah's protection and I seek Allah's help, the most merciful, the most gracious, in the verb that you're about to do. So you're about to start eating. Yeah? You're about to go on a journey. So you're saying, I seek Allah's help and His protection, His isti'ana, the most merciful, the most gracious in my journey that I'm about to take. Make sense? Yeah? Or you use the second one, which is musahaba, but really they have the same meaning, but it means to be accompanied with, that I seek Allah's company, okay, the most merciful, the most gracious, while I go on this journey. So of course, if Allah is your companion on your journey, He's doing what? He's protecting you. So that's why really it's the same meaning. Okay, but those are the two most conclusive meanings from amongst the 20 that I found. Okay, so make a note of that, and that's the reason why the verb is missing as well. Okay, the verb of whatever it is missing because your actions are numerous. Okay. So then we come to the next word in the sentence is Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Okay. Once again, these two words, the scholars have differed over the meaning of Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Okay. So the word, some scholars have said that the word Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, they mean the same thing. They both mean mercy. Okay. But the majority of scholars said that wouldn't make, Allah wouldn't use two things meaning the same thing. It's just repetition, istiqrar, without benefit. So the others, they disagreed and they said no, there is a difference. They said the first one, one of the first interpretations, that Ar-Rahman بِخَلْقِهِ جَمِيعًا, that Ar-Rahman is mercy, but this mercy is for all of creation, for the Muslims, the non-Muslims, the animals, the plants, everyone. Okay, it's a universal mercy. And then they said that Ar-Rahim, it is for the mu'mineen. It is a special mercy only for the believers. So that's one interpretation. Yeah. So Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, the first interpretation, Ar-Rahman is universal for all creation. Ar-Rahim is the mercy only for the believers. Another interpretation is that Rahman is the mercy of Allah in this dunya, and Rahim is the mercy of Allah in the akhirah. Okay, so Rahim will only come into existence in the akhirah. So those are your two main interpretations for the Rahman and the Rahim. Okay. Okay, let's continue then. Let's go into the surah. The verse after Bismillah Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, which is the first verse of Al Fatihah, so verse number 1. Then we go to verse number 2, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Okay, the first word is the Hamd. Now the Hamd is difficult to explain in English, but it is praise. But it is not any praise, it is the ultimate praise. Al-Hamd, all glory, all praise is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Al at the beginning of Al-Hamd, okay, for Arabic students, the Al here is the Alif Al-Lam Al-Istighraqiyya, which means it encompasses everything. That Allah's praise is all praise. Okay, so for example, someone may praise you and say, well done, you're a very good engineer, very good letter that you wrote, you're a good writer, whatever it is. So they're praising you on one element, one thing that you did good. But when you say Alhamd, that all praise in everything, anything you think about, it belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning He is perfect. That perfection belongs only to Allah. Okay, so the alif wal lam here is istighraqi, that all perfection and all praise is to Allah Almighty. Then lillahi, and lillahi, the lam here is lam al-milk, that belonging to, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we've discussed that already. So all hamd, lillah, li means belonging to, is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then if we look the next verse, Rabbil Alameen. Okay, the word Rabb is very important, because the Rabb is the master or the owner of something. In Arabic they say Ar-Rajul or Zawj, the husband, Rabbul Bayt. Okay, so if we say that the husband is Rabbul Bayt, what does that mean? He is the master of the house. Okay, literally, he's not a literal master of the house, but he is the owner of the house and those inside the house. Who are Rabbul Bayt, he is the responsible one. So the Rabb is the word master, but obviously Lillahi al-Mathil al-A'la, to Allah belongs the best of examples. Allah is the Rabb, the owner, the maintainer of al-Alameen. Al-Alameen means all of creation. So not just the world, not just the universe, not the galaxy, anything. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Khaliq, He is the creator. Everything other than Allah is makhluk, it is the creation. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says the Rabb, He is the owner and the Lord and the sustainer and the maintainer of everything. Okay, so when we say that, we start with praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We say alhamd, all praises to Allah. Who is Allah? We describe Him, we say Rabbul Alameen. He is the master and the owner of all the creation. Okay, and there is no partner to Him. So huwa al-Rabb, huwa al-Khaliq, He is the creator, al-Malik, the king, al-Mudabbir, the one who masters all the universe. فَلَا خَالِقْ إِلَّا اللَّهِ, there is no creator except Allah. لَا مَالِكْ إِلَّا اللَّهِ, that there is no king except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, furthermore, when we look at this ayah, Rabbul Alameen, this ayah also tells us that the Alameen, okay, the creation, is dependent upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That we are not independent, we are dependent on Allah. We need His sustenance, we need His support, we need His rain, we need our food, we need the sun to give us our light. We're dependent upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this verse also shows us the power of Allah and the weakness of human beings. Okay, so we can derive two things from that ayah. We also understand when we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, huwa Rabbul Alameen, that He is the owner and the maintainer of the universe, that no one else has that authority to run the universe. That's important to understand. Some ideologies may think that the angels have some authority. No, they don't. Some people may say that the prophets have some kind of authority. No, they don't. Okay. Some people will say that the Prophet ﷺ, he's not a god, but he's also not a human being. He's in between. He's a nur. Okay. What does that mean? I don't know myself. Okay. There's no such thing. So we have to say Rabbul Alameen, that authority, the power, the kingship is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and anything after that is makhluk, is the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He is in full control. We also understand from this, Rabbul Alameen, dalil ala anna al-alam hadith, that the universe and creation had a beginning point. Okay, so whatever theory people want to bring about, be it the Big Bang or be it this, or whatever theory you want to bring about, the thing that we all agree upon is that it is something that was brought about. It wasn't and then it was. Therefore, we understand that what wasn't and is will also go back to being nothing as well. So we understand from Rabbil Alameen that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the Alameen, and He's also going to destroy the Alameen as well. Okay, so that is also taken out from this ayah. Huwa al-awwal wal-akhir wal-zahir wal-batin. He is the first and He is the last. Okay, another thing we can extract out of this ayah, Rabbul Alameen, is that أن هذا العالم علم وآية دالة على Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the creation of the universe itself, and this is, I remember somebody asking a question about this before, the concept of tadabbur. When you look up into the skies and you see the nature, you see the sun, the moon, all these things you see the alameen, you see the creation. And when you see this beautiful creation, naturally your brain will say what? There must be a creator. So the alameen itself, when you look at the creation, it naturally takes you back to the creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we can take that out of this ayah as well. So many things. Rabbul Alameen, that the Alameen, we are forced to believe that there is a creator. Okay? So even those who don't believe in a God, they can't answer that question. And then Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. We talked about Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. But just to add also the fact that one of the most powerful names of Allah after the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ar-Rahman, is mercy. If we look in all of Allah's names that He's given us, the 99 different names that we have, the common denominator from all of those names, the common attribute, all of those names is Rahmah. We find Allah's mercy predominant in all of His names and attributes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, وَرَبِّكَ الْغَنِيُّ ذُو الرَّحْمَةِ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. The reason of creation was to reflect His mercy upon you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He's made dhulm haram upon Himself. And so He said, do not do dhulm upon people. But He made rahmah an obligation upon Him, that He will show His mercy to us. Okay? So, that we extract from Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Furthermore, for the linguists, the word Rahman is on the template of fa'alan. Okay, fa'ain lam alif nun fa'alan, and this template, it means the command of this action, the completeness of this action. So, for example, in Arabic, when you say someone, if you say this person is ghadban, okay, you can say a person is ghadban meaning he's very angry, or you can also say ghadib, he is angry, but there's a difference. When you say somebody is ghadib on that template, it means he's angry for a little while. But if you say ghadban, it means he is full of anger. Okay? So this template, when you put a verb on this template, it means that he's full of this thing, this sifa, this attribute is fully inside this individual. So when we look at, and we said to Allah belongs the best of examples, we said that Rahman is on the same template, meaning He is full of mercy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is full of mercy, and He reflects that on His creation. Okay. Let's move over to the next ayah, Maliki Yawm Ad-Din. Okay? Maliki Yawm Ad-Din. So, Yawm Ad-Din, what is Yawm Ad-Din? It is Yawm Al-Qiyamah. Okay? The Day of Judgment has so many different names. Yawm Al-Qiyamah, Yawm Ad-Din, Yawm Al-Hisab, so many different names. Okay? In this case, Allah used Yawm Ad-Din, which means He is the king of that day. And the deen here meaning al-jaza, that He is the king on the day where people will be rewarded or the people will be punished. Okay. Furthermore, when we say Maliki Yawm Ad-Din, this further strengthens our Tawheed in the fact that Allah is the only one who is able to reward us and punish us. Okay? It shows us further that He is the only one who on that day has the authority to punish or to forgive, to put you into Jannah or to throw you into hellfire. So it is Allah's mercy that we need, because He is the judge. He is the one who is going to be deciding on the matters. Also, the issue of Maliki Yawm Ad-Din, this ayah also strengthens to us and proves to us that there is going to be a day of judgment. Okay, it's not just a theory, it's not just a story that we tell our kids, it's real. Maliki Yawm Ad-Din. There is definitely 100% going to be a day where we stand in front of Allah and we give a hisab for what we're going to do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَكُمْ عَبَثًا وَأَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجِعُونَ. This is in Surah Al-Mu'minun, verse 115. Do you think that I have created you عَبَثًا, that you have no purpose, وَأَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجِعُونَ, and that you will not return back to us? Meaning that you are going to return back to us. So when we say Maliki Yawm Ad-Din, this shows our purpose and why we are here.
Did you just read a verse out there? Or?
Yeah, that was ayah. Verse Mu'minun 115. Okay? Mu'minun 115. Furthermore, another lesson we can take out of Maliki Yawm Ad-Din, okay, is targhib wa tarhib. Meaning, in this ayah, Maliki Yawm Ad-Din, you can, when you read this, you can find a sense of happiness or a sense of attraction to that day, because you've done so much good and you want to meet Allah. But at the same time, there could be tarhib, meaning there is a fear factor involved, because you know you didn't live a good life, you know that you didn't do what you're supposed to, so you're scared. So this ayah itself, it consists of targhib, which is attraction, and also tarhib, which is things that push you away, depending upon the person. Targhib wa tarhib. Targhib with a ghain and tarhib with a ha. Okay, so targhib means to excite and tarhib means to put fear into something. Okay. The ayah Malik Yawm Ad-Din. Another lesson we can extract out of this is Ishara ila Kamal al-Adl, that Allah is most just. Okay, that Malik, He is the king of that day. That nothing is going to go unpunished or unrewarded. Everyone is going to get what they deserve. Okay, so this ayah shows us also that Allah is full of justice. That's why when you hear theories other than religions that promote other than a day where we're going to give account, really they might sound nice and they might sound attractive, but it really is flawed. If you look at the theory of reincarnation, for example, irrespective of what crime you do, you just keep getting reborn until they say you become one with God. So at the end of the day, you're going to just be one with God. How is that just? How is it a person who lived a life full of crime or evil that he ends up being one with God? And the person who lived a very good life, he avoided temptation, he avoided evil, he's also one with God. What is the justice in that? Okay, so the justice is al-adl. Al-adl is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wa maliki yawm ad-din. He is the judge of that day, and you will go to court and you will get what you have earned. Okay, that's true justice. So we take that out of this ayah as well. Maliki yawm ad-din. Okay. Another point of extraction here is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on that day, Yawm Ad-Din, He's going to put people into paradise or people into the hellfire. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أَبَدًا, that they're going to be in either one of those places for eternity. Now somebody might come along, and we've had this many times with, I think Christians, they find this concept a little bit difficult. They say that how is somebody going to be in hell or paradise forever and ever and ever? Isn't that too much? Okay, how would we respond to such an argument? Does anybody have a response to that? What would you say? If somebody said to you that, no, that's not a very merciful God, is it? He's going to be in hell forever. What would you respond to that?
I think.
Sorry? Yeah, that's in this world. So if a person makes tawbah and forgiveness, he won't go to the hellfire, that's fair enough. But what about the fact that there are going to be people in hell, they're going to be there forever?
Justice.
Justice, how is it justice?
You have been given opportunity in your lifetime to do something good, and then you spend the whole of your life being unjust and doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So it's a punishment for the rest of you.
Yeah, mashallah, very good answer. That's exactly what the author said as well. So there's two answers. The first one said that the person lived his whole life in disobedience. Okay, if you had any element of goodness, you would have done something. Okay, but if you lived your whole 60, 70, 80 or 100 years in all evil and disbelief, then don't complain about what's going to happen in the hereafter. So you will get eternal punishment as well. And the second answer that's also given is that how can one complain if he was sent prophets, he was sent the message of Allah, he was given a divine message from God and he didn't listen. So who is to blame? You know, don't complain now that the punishment has come to you. You look at what was there before. So the two answers, that God is just, He gave you a lifetime to change, which you didn't. Also, He gave you divine messages from God, coming from Jibreel alayhi salam, but you are the ones who didn't listen. So what comes is, what you did is a consequence of your actions. Okay. That also tells us a point of aqidah and belief as well, that the paradise and the hellfire are eternity. Okay, they are there forever. There is no stopping in the truth. The next thing, let's move on. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. So the next verse, إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. Okay, I need to turn to the board again. Okay. Okay, so we have إياك نعبد. Okay, so this is the verse. Now, how do they translate that in the English? You alone, you alone we worship. Now, here, Arabic students will know this well. Those who are not Arabic speakers, just pay attention for a bit. In any Arabic sentence, a verbal sentence that is, so jumla fi'liya, a verbal sentence consists of three things. You have a verb, okay, and then you have the doer of the verb, okay, and you have the done to, okay, you have the done to. Or if you want to be more technical, you have the verb, you have the subject, and you have the object, okay, for English students. So the more technical term would be the subject, okay, and you have the object. Don't get scared, don't get put off. I'm going to explain. So in English sentence, if I said John ate an apple. Okay, easy sentence. In this sentence, okay, what is the verb? Ate, right? The order is different in Arabic and English, but it doesn't matter. We have to have these three. So this is the verb. Who's the doer here? John. So that's your subject. Use the more technical term. What's the object?
Apple.
The apple, because the apple got eaten, right? It was eaten, so that's the object. So these are the three things you have in a Jumla Fi'liyah. Okay? So when you write a sentence, you have to, the sentence consists of these three, or in most cases. If you said John ate, that could make sense as well, but John ate an apple. So those three things are inside tense. So in Arabic, we also need, in Arabic what we call is the fi'l, we call the fa'il, and we call the maf'ulun bihi. Okay? Now, the order of an Arabic sentence is in this manner. So you start off with, for example, akala John at-tufah. Okay? It's in the same way. So John, John's a weird one to write in Arabic. So let's say akala Ahmed at-tufah. That's the sentence. That's how it normally comes. So you have this order. But here, what you have is na'budu. What does na'budu mean?
Worship.
So we worship. So the we comes from here. So this is the we. Okay. What is that with regards to these three things? Subject. Okay. So this is the subject. So we've got subject. Okay. So we've got the subject. Good. Al-ibadah. What is this? It's the verb. Okay, it's the verb. Okay, good. So it's the fi'l. Yeah, for Arabic students, the fi'l. What's this? So we worship.
Object.
Is the object. Okay, it's the object. So in this case, for the case of understanding, okay, so not in the case of aqidah, but apple. Yeah. So in this case, the apple in this case would be iyak. So this would be the object. Okay, or what we say in Arabic is the maf'ulun bihi. Okay, the maf'ulun bihi. Okay. Now here, what you've got is the maf'ulun bihi in the normal structure. Is it at the beginning or at the end?
No, in the beginning.
No, here look, the object. It's at the
At the end.
at the end.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
going the other way.
Going that way. So Arabic is this way. So it'd be 1, 2. Arabic is the other way around. Sorry. So the object is the end. The end. That's a normal sentence. Here, the object is at the beginning. Okay? The object is at the beginning. So this is unique in the language as well. Why? If I say, in this sentence, yeah, I'm just going to write English. So if I say, I ate an apple. Okay? If I said to you, I ate an apple, does that mean that I only ate an apple?
No.
Could it possibly mean that I ate something else as well?
Yes.
So I ate an apple and a banana. And blah 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 blah. I can just keep going. Yeah? So this is the normal structure. So if you use this way, what you will end up saying in Arabic is na'budu. Okay? Sorry. Na'budu. Okay? And you will say na'budu ka, that we worship you. That's the normal structure. Verb, that's the verb, that's the doer, and that's the object. We worship you. That's the normal Arabic structure. But the problem with this structure is, just like I said, I ate an apple and a banana, I can also say na'buduka wa any other god. You can say wa Isa, for example. Wa Jibril or Muhammad, whatever. Yeah? So this sentence structure opens up the possibility of you worshipping other than Allah. Yeah? It allows the wow. It allows you to use the wow and add as many things as you like. The problem with that's not pure Tawheed. So the language, what it does, is it takes the maf'ulun bihi, okay, puts it at the beginning, which is called uslub, okay, al-hasr, okay, confinement. This is called confinement. When you use this method of confinement, it means the only thing you can worship is this thing here, nothing else. You can't add a wow anymore. The possibility of adding a wow has gone. So when you bring the object to the beginning, so na'budu ka, yes, إياك نعبد, it means we worship only you. And if you add a wow here, no one would understand that in Arabic. It doesn't make any sense. Okay? So this beautiful structure, the language itself has just taught you what? Tawheed. Yeah? Even the language is screaming out to you that there's only one God. So here Allah subhanahu doesn't need to say to you that there's only one God, but the sentence structure teaches you that there's only one God. Okay? So this is beautiful. And this is the fruits of knowing the Arabic language. Yeah?
If you add wow, then obviously you're going to say you do this, anything you do is like God.
Yeah.
It's going to be already Allah.
Yeah, so if you use this structure, na'budu ka, which is the normal structure, you can add wow. It's fine. So for example, I ate a banana. أكلت تفاح وموز وخبز. And you could just keep going. You add as many wows as you like. So that's why the wow, if you use this when it comes to worship, na'buduka wa Isa, you can just keep going and have as many gods as you like. But when you bring the object to the beginning, it confines it only to that one thing. Okay? So that's a beautiful point of the language. Okay, what's the time? Wow, time flies. So what you can draw out of this is the إياك نعبد. It, number one, reflects the Tawheed of Allah through the language, and number two, okay, it clearly cuts off any doors to shirk. Okay, this sentence إياك نعبد cuts off all possibilities of there being another God. So in the same way as we say إياك نعبد, the following part is إياك نستعين. The same thing applies. Yeah. So when nasta'in means we seek help. So we only seek help in Allah. That's where in the translation, when they translate that to English, how do they translate إياك نعبد wa إياك نستعين? You alone. Yeah. So the issue of alone, it's not there. If you were to do a word for word translation, you will not find alone there. Okay? This is why you have to be careful of which translation you read, because the alone, there's no word here in Arabic that says alone. It's only because we took it from here and put it here we got alone. Yeah? So this is the sentence structure. Okay. So the same thing with nasta'in, that only you, we seek his help. Okay? إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. Okay. So there is something also interesting here. Again, we're going to go a bit linguistic, right? Looking at the language. When we're talking about language, okay, we have persons. We're talking about, so we have something called third person, right? So third person when we're talking about somebody who's not here, okay? So for example, this comes to my mind because we were talking about this just before we came. So for example, Imran Khan is a good president. Is he here? He's not. This is third person. We're talking about somebody who's not here. This is third person. He, she, they. Now, if I was talking to you, I'm saying you as a one person, you as two people, or you, all of you. This is second person. Okay. If I say I or we, this is first person. So when you look at Al Fatihah, you look at Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise is to Allah. What person is that? Third person. Yeah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Maliki Yawm Ad-Din. What person is that? Third. Yeah. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. What person is that? Second. We're saying you only we worship. It's become second. Now here in the language, even if you're writing an English article and you move from third person to second person just like that, okay, what does that do to the reader? Confuse or? It draws your attention. It draws your attention. So Allah, He moved the surah from third person to second person when it came to the issue of Tawheed. إياك نعبد. Understand why? So your ears go up. You're like, oh my God, it just gone third person to second person. Why has He done that? Why? Because Allah wants you to know the importance of Tawheed. The importance of He is the only God. So we went from He to you. So make a note of that as well, yeah? That you change. In Arabic they call this al-iltifat. Yeah? So the Arabic, this is known as al-iltifat, changing from persons. And this happens a lot in the Quran. And the reason for this, the prime reason for this is to draw your attention to what is being said. It's a beautiful science. There's whole books written on this issue of changing persons. While you're reading, it's just gone from second person to third person, and then back to third person. It's amazing.
You know, like, just the verse, like, you alone we worship. Can it seem disrespectful? Because it's just the way it's so direct. Like, or
Why? What would make it seem disrespectful?
it would be like, our you alone we worship, like it's something a bit softer.
No, I don't think so. I think it's the most clearest way of expressing Tawheed. The clearest way of expressing that we only have one God, and that is Allah. Okay, but this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who revealed this surah, so He's the one who instructed us to say it like that. So He's the one who brought this surah in this manner. Okay, so we have to move forward. Okay, a couple of minutes, I didn't get to finish. Another lesson that we can take is the Isti'adhah, إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين, that one should always seek Allah's help, His Isti'adhah in all matters. Okay, no matter what you're doing in life, always seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help in all your matters. Don't ever think, oh, this is just a small thing, I'm about to cross the road. Oh, you don't know, you might cross and you might die. So always seek Allah's help. Say Bismillah, say Iyyaka na'budu, Iyyaka nasta'in, whatever it is. Always seek Allah's assistance and His help in all things that you do in your life. Never belittle any of those actions. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm going to be forced to stop here because the next ayah, Ya ihdina sirat al-mustaqim, is a lengthy discussion and we don't have too much time. So we pause here and we'll continue from that next week. Okay. Also, we'll talk about the ahkam. Next week we'll talk about some of the rules and things that we're going to discuss will be, for example, the Bismillah. Is it part of Al Fatihah or not? Okay. Do we read Al Bismillah out loud when we're praying? Okay. Because there are some who read, so you might go to some masjid and they might not start with Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, they might start with Bismillah Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, Alhamd, they read it aloud. So we need to understand that as well. The other thing is the Fatihah. Is the Fatihah a rukn? Is it a pillar of our salah or not? So if I don't read Fatihah in my prayer, is my salah still accepted or is it rejected? So there's a discussion on that. And then finally, we'll talk about the issue of reading the Fatihah. So if you're in prayer and the Imam is reading the Fatihah, do you have to read it behind him or do you just have to listen? Okay. Also, what's more interesting in that is what if you're praying behind the Imam and it's a Dhuhr prayer or Asr prayer? Obviously, in the Dhuhr and Asr prayer, are you going to hear the Imam reciting Fatihah? You're not, are you? So do you have to read it or do you still have to stay quiet? Okay. We'll talk about that inshallah next week. So we open now. We finish. It's okay. We'll give 5-10 minutes for questions. So everyone, feel free to ask as many questions. Go. If it's a short one, I'll answer it.
So you know, from what I understand, so you have to read Surah Al Fatihah, but they say that prayer counts from when you join in ruku, if you're late. But then you haven't read Surah Al Fatihah.
Yeah.
So then how do they count that one?
Yeah, you get the answer to that next week. That'll make you come on time.
You start with that.
That'll be the first question. Yeah, that's a good question. The Isti'adhah, what we said is it's recommended that when you read Quran that you start with أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. But if you're reading, for example, and you finish reading Surah Al Baqarah, you're moving on to Al Imran, you don't need to repeat it again. So it's only, for example, if you're reading, when you begin your recitation, you start reading Quran, then, for example, you got distracted, you got up, you went to the children, you went to the bathroom or something happened, then you restart your recitation, start again with أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. But you don't need to keep doing it while you just to start the recitation. And even then, it's not obligatory, it's mustahab. We should still do it. Okay, that's the way the Prophet ﷺ recommended us to do. Yeah.
That's your prayer as well, yeah?
Sorry?
As in
the prayer as well, yeah. Yeah.
Is there a rule if you start in the middle of the surah, you don't say Bismillah, you just say
As in, like, if you're just reciting Quran
from the middle of the surah?
Yeah, if you're reciting a surah and you're not at the beginning of the surah, you don't need to say Bismillah, you can just say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. And that's at the beginning of your recitation. Okay?
I have studied some ulama and they said that even if in your talk, when you mention any part of Quran, you must say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, just for the sake of that. What you're going to say, it is not from you, it is from Allah.
Yeah.
So differentiate between your talk and Allah's words comes the أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. So it does not makes it sound like a person is talking from himself,
Yeah.
and then he carries on the Quran.
That's very
which
good.
is very-
This is from Bab al-Adab, yeah, of manners. That when you're reciting a verse of the Quran, if you're teaching or lecturing, that you say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. But at the same time, it's not. You don't have to. If you can make it clear that you're reciting a verse of the Quran, then you do not have to do that. But if you can, it's better so that people are aware that what you're about to say is the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they're not your words. Yeah. So, exactly. So that's from the It's not hukm, meaning it's obligatory to do that, but it's from adab, from respect for the Quran.
Is it true that if we are in a gathering and then the person who is going to give a talk and then maybe we will sounds loud, then you don't have to.
If you read the
If he says and then if we hear that, then we don't have to.
in prayer or in,
No, it's like in a gathering, in a talk.
in the talk, because the recitation of the Isti'adhah is when you're reciting the Quran. So if you're listening, you're not reciting it.
No,
So,
it's when they're reading, like they're just about to start reading something.
oh, okay, so you're reciting Quran as a group.
Mm.
Okay, then you should read your own Isti'adhah before you start reciting the Quran. Yeah, at the beginning, read your own Isti'adhah. Yeah. Yes, Ahmed.
Yeah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says at the beginning of Surah Al Fatihah says Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And I don't really personally understand the difference between the word Al-Alameen and Al-Alam. What's the difference between the two? Why didn't Allah say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alam instead of Alameen?
That's a good question. Okay. For those who are listening, the alam is universe as well. Alameen is universes. Okay. So why didn't he use alam instead of using alameen? Is there one universe or is there multiple universes? Could be the answer. Yeah. Good question. I'll have a look into it. Okay. But alameen is plural of universe. So it could be the reason why he's the master. All hamd, all praise goes to the Lord of all the universes rather than the Lord of the universe. That's
It removes doubt, no? Because if you just say it's a singular thing, then someone could
Possibly.
question, well, there could be another
possible.
God for another.
Yeah. So all the universes. But I will look into it deeper, so I'll give you a better answer. Yeah. Sorry.
Is the iya at the beginning of the sentence if you can't stop the sentence with just ka?
Perfect. Hold on.
If it is, then what does iya mean?
Yeah, it's just a phrase that's used to attach the ka onto, because you can't start with ka. Okay, so this is an Arabic question. That what does the iya mean at the beginning of iyyaka? Okay, iya doesn't carry any meaning. It just you can call it like a supportive tool for the ya to sit on. Okay, so that's what it means in general. So the whole iyyaka, you can. I mean, the linguists will break it down and say iya has a meaning and ka has, but in overall, the linguists will say iyyaka is the maf'ul bihi. It's the whole thing is the object, because you can't say ka and then move, because it's a ضمير متصل. It's something which has to be attached to something, can't sit by itself.
Following what she said, if you say Iyaka, wouldn't that mean to you? But if you say Leka, we say for you. So that also has, because if you say Leka na'budu, that means for you we're worshipping, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're worshipping to you. So saying Iyaka would mean we're worshipping to you.
Yeah, you can say that, but here what you will do, so again deeper into the language, I'm trying to keep everyone on board. What you will do then, if you say laka, then that will become not a maf'ulun bihi, but that will become a jar majroor, because la is harfu jar, and then the ka will become ism majroor. So then you'll change the complete context. Whereas if you say iyyaka, that is the maf'ulun bihi, it's the object. If you say laka, it's no longer the object, it becomes a ism majroor, jar majroor, so the meaning will change.
So it does have a use.
It will?
Iya has a use in that word.
Yeah, it's the object. Yeah. Any?
Just,
Yeah.
just coming to the brother's question, I have studied the question about Alameen,
Okay.
and the ulama they said because there are more universes apart from ours.
Mm.
So that's why they used Alameen, and plus it is a story from Israeliyat
Okay.
that once Musa alayhi salam went to see and have a talk with Allah, and he questioned Allah. He says, what if all the people, all your creation turns against you? And he said, don't worry Musa, I have some animals grazing in my universe, in my gardens, that they can gulp the whole of universe in one go.
Mm.
So it means that proves that we don't believe in that story, but as in Israeliyat, Muhammad ﷺ said that We don't believe in it, but we do take a lesson from it.
Yeah.
So it means that there are other universes apart from ours, which he controls as well.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So that could be one answer to the question. Yeah. We'll have a look into it in Oza, but yeah, good answer. Anybody else? Any questions? Yeah.
Just a bit to understand further, you just spoke about resurrection. My question is that when you sometime you pass in front of a fast food and you see a lot of well-fed rats, is that the resurrected production?
What do you mean by? Are you talking about
Reincarnation.
reincarnation?
Yeah.
I have no idea about reincarnation, but what I do know, because I have spoken to Jehovah's Witnesses, Hindus, and various, and they have elements of reincarnation in them. Even the Sikhs, there's a lot of Sikhs in where we are, and I've had discussions with them. They also believe in the issue of reincarnation. Just keeping it very short, is they just believe that you die, and if you're bad, you go to a lower life form. So if a human was bad, he'll either come back as a worse human, or if he was really, really bad, he'll come back as an animal. If he was good, he'll become back as a better human. And the best of humans, and this is in the Hindu understanding, is the Brahmins. Yeah. Then if you become a Brahmin and then you die, then you will become God. Okay. And what's surprising about this concept of reincarnation is that this concept, not in its entirety, but this concept also exists among some Muslims who say that Allah is everywhere and that you can become one with Allah. If you discover the secrets of the universe, you can become one with Allah. This is taken from Hindus. This is not from Islam. Yeah, you cannot become one with Allah because that would mean that Allah is deficient. If you can add to something, that means that thing is deficient. So Allah is not deficient. So we do not have the concept of reincarnation. So those rats outside fast food shops have no idea. All I know is they're a creation of Allah, and Allah said all of His creation they praise Him and they worship. That's what I do.
Do you eat there regularly?
Any other questions? No? Idris, no question? Okay, inshallah ta'ala. We'll see you next week then, 11:15. Like we said, if you want to be added to the WhatsApp group and also to the Google Classroom, please give me your phone number and your email so you'll get regular updates. Hopefully you're enjoying the new YouTube videos. We've got a new cameraman and lighting and microphones, so inshallah hopefully that's working out.